Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Intangibles podcast. Today, we're back with Alex for the last time as he delivers some of the amazing stories that came from Tiger Tales along the way and imparts some of his own advice. So let's dive in. Can you talk about a few of your highlights from your Toastmasters career so far?
So there's definitely a few, but I think the best examples of it have been watching mentees, whether they're my mentees or folks that I'm helping to mentor, to overcome their fears and then to achieve incredible success in speaking contests. The first time that happened was with Nathan at MCC, and he went from just shaking giving his first speech to making it to the district in the humorous contest. Then Tanai, who's one of our more recent presidents, he's still a current member of Tiger Tales as we're recording this. The experience of watching him rise up through the officer ranks and become president, and that one of the unofficial unwritten duties of the Tiger Tales president is to give the international graduate orientation speech. I think I did it for 2 years, and then Preetam picked it up, and after that, it pretty much became one of these unofficial duties of the president of the club to go out and represent the club in being transformed as a public speaker. And over the course of that summer, watching Tanai go from this is not something that I can do to help me do this to I can do this to having done it, having people come up to him afterwards so inspired by the transformation that they could feel because they knew how scared he was. They could feel the freedom that he was feeling in that moment of, here I am in front of 200 people and I'm going to conquer the world. Like, that feeling was so evident in his speech that at least half a dozen people came up to him after that speech. One of them just came right up onto the stage to talk to him afterwards because it was right at the end of the event. Came right up onto the stage afterwards to talk to him to make sure that he knew that he had just changed his life by being that free.
So we went to the mustache man and said, "Sir, can you please stay with this dog?" The man said, "Okay." And he let go of the leash. The dog ran towards us. Specifically, I ran straight towards my house, and as I was running, my entire life was flashing before my eyes. And suddenly, the dog went. Anybody want to guess where it
And it's in speech, the speech crafts that we've done with the club, and it's in those international graduate orientation speeches, and it's in the contest speeches that folks have taken, and it's in everything that Tiger Tales does. But it's that level of freeing someone who is incredibly talented and is incredibly intelligent and has experiences worth sharing, and freeing them to be able to share those experiences in a fearless and free way.
Wow.
That's the story that I think of. Going from that level of fear and anxiety and closed up, even in body language, to just be closed, to being open and having vocal variety and being free to make fun of themselves in front of a room full of people. That kind of freedom is just incredible to watch someone achieve, to watch someone be unlocked that way.
I guess since we moved into the mentoring a little bit, in addition to being a mentor for people, I wouldn't say countless, but lots of different people, either very directly or especially indirectly. And that includes a club in Tiger Tails. Since you've been around since the very beginning, the origins of it, I was wondering if you could speak a little bit to that, how that all got started.
Yes, the beginning of Tiger Tails. And so I told you the story of my first international speech. So that spring of 2013, I was competing alongside a PhD candidate named Halim. So Halim got to know me, and he also got to know Corey through the experience of competing alongside one another. Corey was the area director that year, or he was an area governor that year. And so that's why he couldn't compete. And I followed him up into the area governorship after that. And that's why I couldn't compete after that. But through that influence that Corey was building and through the competing alongside one another, Halim saw Corey and I and our connection to RIT as an opportunity to start a club that he wanted to start. And so the Thanksgiving of that year, we had a big gathering for Thanksgiving, a bunch of friends in our spiritual family, and we all got together, and there was a lot of RIT alumni around a table. And Halim came to that event. That was the beginning of Tiger Tails. He talked to Corey and I and a few other RIT alumni, Will and Matt and Rich, and we started the idea for that club then. And Halim found incredible other RIT students and faculty and sold them on the vision of this club. Over that winter, we heard from all sorts of Toastmasters that, oh, it can't be done. We've tried starting a club at RIT. The students are too transient. They're too busy. They don't want to do it. It's yada, yada, yada. It can't be done was the message that we got. And we didn't listen, obviously. So January of that year, it was either January or February of that year, we had our first demo meeting when the new semester started. And I spoke, and Preeti, who was the club's first and second VPE, she stayed in the VPE role for a full year, which for anyone who has ever been the VPE, especially of Tiger Tails, which meets every week and met every week then and continues to meet every week, being the vice president of education is work. And she was that for the first full year. And then she served as president after that. That she spoke, and she leaned up against the board the whole time during her speech. She just physically had to be as far away from the audience as she could be. And I think she might have even sat on her hands the whole time. To see her now, she's in a career in sales, in addition to her science work, which is just mind-boggling what she does. But she's also in the business of selling that technology. Amazing stuff to go from that to there. The demo meeting had the energy of a Tiger Tails meeting, and it couldn't be stopped after that. And it couldn't be stopped partially because Mervyn, who was also at that meeting, made sure that it wouldn't stop. And he was determined to charter the club by, I believe he set a target date of April 1st. I think we might have chartered, it might have gone on until May. And Mervyn turned into more and more of a tornado of activity after we missed his target to make that happen. We chartered and we never looked back. The club has always been one of the biggest, has had more and more new members than any club in the district, has always been represented at the division, if not the district, in every contest that Toastmasters has had since then. Tiger Tails has just been a force to be reckoned with ever since we chartered. But it all started at that Thanksgiving dinner table with Halim, and Halim adding these just incredibly talented people to get it set on the right course. So our job as mentors has been through the whole time to continually remind Tiger Tails of its DNA, that through, at this point, we're getting close to like a fourth generation of leaders within Tiger Tails, of people who came up together through the Tiger Tails ranks, and continually reminding the club of its DNA. of the energy and the course that it was set on when it started. That's a big part of the reason, I think, why it's important to Xavier, and why I'm wanting to support this podcast, so that we can go back and talk to these people that made Tiger Tales possible. These incredibly talented, inspiring, world-shaping people that are out there doing amazing things with companies like Google and Facebook and Intuit. I don't think Halim can even talk about half the stuff he does for work, and and cutting edge research that is changing lives and doing incredible work all over the world too, to talk to these people about the way that DNA of transformation and vibrant, diverse energy and storytelling and vulnerability that makes Tiger Tales what it is. If we can bottle a little bit of that lightning and make sure that it makes it through to the next generation of Toastmasters and maybe share it with a few other clubs, then this whole effort will be worth doing.
I want you to think about your week, the last 7 days. And I want you to think about all the opportunities that you've had to communicate with someone. Really communicate with someone. Lock eyes with them. Hear their deepest feelings. Hear a story from them. Really communicate. And you think about all those opportunities that you've had to really communicate. Maybe there's not so many. Or maybe there's a lot of them. Now I want you to think about who you want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Not what you want to do, not what you want your job to be, not how much money you want to be making. I don't want to know about any of that. But I want to know who you want to be 5 years from now. And I guarantee that your life will be richer if those moments of communication, real communication of locking eyes, feeling someone's heart, empathizing with someone, connecting with them. But the more of those you have, and the deeper they go, the richer your life will be.
It's clear through the progression of your contests that you've grown into such an amazing speaker. What keeps you in Toastmasters now?
Like, why do I stick around?
Yeah.
The biggest thing, so there's two big things, and one of them is selfish, and one of them is not as selfish. And so the selfish one is that if you don't use it, you lose it. That ability to craft a meaningful message into a short speech is so easily lost. It's something that you need to be continuously practicing. It's something that I need to be continuously practicing, at least, to continue to be able to mold ideas into something that will impact people. It's very easy to lose that skill. And the other side of it is the ability to share some of that freedom that I found. That what we talked about earlier, about that ability to get up in front of a room full of people and say something that's on your mind. And how big of an impact that's made, even in the last year, for me, in these community meetings where we're talking about how do we solve this problem, and being able to get up and speak passionately about we need to work together in ways that we've never done before. And that really making a difference. And knowing that I can give that gift to somebody else, that to help a newer member find that freedom to be able to get up in whatever room they're going to be in when they go out into the world, or when they're on campus, or when they're presenting their thesis, to be able to get up and speak about what they're passionate about and really make that difference. That is intoxicating to watch, when somebody who goes from being timid or not being able to get up and speak in that way, going to that place where they can. I live for that stuff.
The last question I have is getting to see things from such a wide perspective at this point, seeing everything from the beginning, even before Tiger Tales, up until now. What piece of advice would you want to leave people with, whether they're in Tiger Tales or not?
Find someone who's worth following and follow them. That's I think the greatest advice that I've experienced in my own life. That the experience of following Corey in his life of generously giving of himself to set people free, that being the recipient of that kind of self-sacrificial love, and not only being the recipient of it, but being taught how to give it, has been the foundational experience of my life. The advice that I have is, I mean, not everyone's going to be able to, not everyone can follow Corey around. There's only so many people are lucky enough to do that. But you can find people that are living the kind of life that you want to live. And not everyone's going to have the same goals. But if you find someone who's living the kind of life that you want to live, figure out how they live it and how they got there. Then copy their every move. Go to the places they go. Read the things they read. Watch the movies they watch. When you sow the same things into your heart that they've sown into their hearts to make them who they are, then you will start to see how to live that life yourself. Not that you'll become a carbon copy.
Nope.
Because your experiences are different and the way that you express it will be different. But I have learned more and more through reading and watching and hearing stories and being a part of Corey's life and going where he goes and doing what he does and loving what he loves, that I've learned how I can live that life. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's something that I would want to share with anybody is that life is not something that you're meant to just go out and find. We have all these generations of history behind us to learn from someone who's been there. Whether it's learning how to be a man instead of a boy, whether it's learning how to be a professional in the field of your choice, whether it's learning how to be an expert in the art that you're looking to master, or how to be how to have excellence in a physical skill or in a sport, that it's all about initiation.
Alex, a huge thank you for taking my call to not only be an interviewee on this podcast, but also be my partner in crime to make this as entertaining and as informative as possible, inspiring. You're just an amazing person, and I wouldn't have wanted to do this project with anybody else. Also, thank you for everyone out there listening to this podcast. It's amazing to have you. Tune in for next week as we talk to the original Vice President Extraordinaire, Preeti. See you next time. Because we got awesome content coming at you.
Let's never use the word content again. Hooray. Okay.